United States is often seen as the richest, most powerful nation in human history. A country that shaped global politics, dominated world trade, and became the center of modern civilization. But what if I told you, none of this was supposed to happen? Because for centuries, North America was not considered valuable at all. In the 1400s, European powers were obsessed with one goal: finding a faster route to Asia. Asia was filled with spices, silk, gold, and unimaginable wealth. Kings and merchants believed whoever controlled Asian trade would control the world. Long before Columbus, the Vikings had already reached North America, but they never realized what they had truly discovered. To them, it was just another cold and distant land. In 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed west across the Atlantic Ocean. He believed the Earth was smaller than it actually was, and thought he could reach Asia by sailing west. He accidentally changed world history forever. Columbus did not find China. He did not find India. He had discovered an entirely new world, even though he didn't realize it yet. Although he failed to find Asia, Columbus discovered something else: gold. And suddenly, Europe became obsessed with the Americas. Spain and Portugal quickly divided the newly discovered lands between them. Portugal focused on reaching Asia by sailing around Africa, while Spain began conquering the Americas. Spain found enormous wealth in Central and South America: gold, silver, rich civilizations. Compared to that, North America looked empty, cold, and worthless. But eventually, England began paying attention. If Spain could build a global empire, then England wanted one too. One of England's first colonies, Roanoke, vanished without explanation. The settlers disappeared so completely, it became one of history's greatest mysteries. But England refused to give up. In 1607, Jamestown became the first permanent English settlement in North America. Soon after, religious groups known as the Pilgrims crossed the Atlantic seeking freedom. More settlers followed, and England's colonies rapidly expanded. Over time, the eastern coast of North America transformed into a chain of thriving British colonies. But Britain wasn't alone. France claimed vast territories across the continent, creating a massive rival empire. In 1754, Britain and France went to war for control of North America. The conflict would reshape the future of the continent forever. Britain ultimately emerged victorious. France lost most of its North American territory, and Britain became the dominant power. But victory came at a massive financial cost. Britain needed money, and the colonies were expected to pay. The colonists were furious. They believed Britain had no right to tax them without representation. Tension turned into resistance, and resistance slowly turned into revolution. In 1776, the colonies declared independence from Britain. The American Revolution had begun. Against all odds, the colonies won. A new nation was born, the United States of America. But independence did not guarantee survival. The new country was weak, divided, and surrounded by powerful empires. Then came one of the greatest land deals in history. France sold the massive Louisiana Territory to the United States, instantly doubling the country's size. By the 1840s, the United States was rapidly expanding westward. Americans believed it was their destiny to control the entire continent. But Mexico still controlled huge territories including Texas and California. After Texas declared independence and joined the United States, tensions exploded. In 1846, war erupted between America and Mexico. American forces quickly invaded deep into Mexican territory, capturing major cities and eventually marching into Mexico City itself. After 2 brutal years of war, Mexico was forced to surrender vast territories to the United States. The victory transformed America forever, expanding the nation all the way to the Pacific Ocean. But as America expanded westward, a dangerous divide was growing inside the nation. In the North, slavery was increasingly viewed as cruel and immoral. But in the South, the economy depended heavily on enslaved labor and massive cotton plantations. Every new territory added to the United States sparked the same explosive question: would slavery be allowed there or not? For decades, political compromises failed to stop the growing tensions. Then, in 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president. Fearing the end of slavery, Southern states began leaving the Union, and the United States moved toward civil war. In 1861, the American Civil War officially began. The Union in the North fought to preserve the country, while the Confederacy in the South fought to protect slavery and independence. The war became the deadliest conflict in American history. After 4 brutal years of fighting, the North emerged victorious, and the United States remained united. After the Civil War, the United States entered a new era of rapid growth. Railroads stretched across the continent, giant factories transformed cities, and millions of immigrants arrived searching for opportunity. America's economy exploded with industrial power and innovation. In just a few decades, the nation that had once struggled to survive was becoming one of the strongest economies on Earth. As America grew richer and more powerful, its influence began spreading far beyond its borders. The United States purchased Alaska from Russia, annexed Hawaii in the Pacific, and rapidly expanded its military strength overseas. For the first time, America was no longer just a growing nation, it was becoming a global power. In 1898, war erupted between the United States and Spain. What began as a regional conflict would soon change America's role in the world forever. The United States quickly defeated Spain with its growing military and industrial power. The victory shocked the world. After the war, the United States gained control of territories such as Puerto Rico and the Philippines. America was no longer just a continental power, it had become a rising global empire. As America grew more powerful, it began building one of the greatest engineering projects in history, the Panama Canal. The canal would connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, changing global trade forever. The construction was extremely difficult. Workers faced deadly diseases, brutal heat, and dangerous terrain while carving a path through the jungle. When the canal opened in 1914, it transformed global trade and strengthened American military power. The United States was no longer just a rising nation, it was becoming a global superpower. By the early 20th century, the United States had become one of the fastest-growing powers on Earth. Its factories, railroads, and industries were producing enormous wealth and transforming the nation into an economic giant. At the same time, America's military and global influence continued expanding across the world. The nation was rapidly becoming one of the most powerful countries in modern history. But just as America reached the world stage, Europe was moving toward a disaster that would change humanity forever. In 1914, World War I erupted across Europe. What began as a regional conflict quickly grew into one of the largest wars in human history. At first, the United States stayed out of the war. Many Americans believed the conflict in Europe was not their fight. But as the war intensified, America was eventually drawn into the conflict. The arrival of fresh American troops and industrial power would help change the course of the war forever.